What if I told you that the creators of Andor carefully placed hidden patterns in every episode of the show? Like how the design of Empire architecture is more angular and rigid, while that of the Rebels is more circular and round. Or how the Empire almost always sports white and black colors, while the Rebels sport lots of reds and oranges and yellows. These touches are deliberately placed by the filmmakers, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. And once you notice them, you can't help but wonder, why? What are the filmmakers trying to say with these deliberate design choices? And there's one hidden detail that was present in season 1 that I was so happy to see came back in season 2 that really unifies what Andor is trying to say. To show you what I mean, let's go back to episode 6 of season 1, The Eye. Andor and company are planning a smash and grab job on the Imperial outpost on Aldhani. They're trying to steal a lot of credits to fund their rebellion, and they plan on using a celestial event called the Eye of Aldhani as a distraction. The celestial event only happens once every 3 years and is apparently gorgeous to witness.
It's a recurrent band of crystallized noctilucent microdensities, billions of crystals. Very heavy, but small and unstable. As the planet passes through the belt, they swarm the atmosphere, heat up, and explode. From the ground, it's a thing of beauty. In the sky is chaos.
Let's jump to episode 10 of season 1, One Way Out. At the end of the episode, Luthen gives the speech to end all speeches, lamenting on all he's given up to fight the Empire. Here is what he says.
I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see.
He also says, my mind is a sunless space.
I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space.
Remember that for later. Let's now jump to episode 12 of season 1, Rick's Road. In the middle of the episode, Brasso relays some words to Andor from his late mother. She says,
"Tell him none of this is his fault. It was already burning. He's just the first spark of the fire."
I bet you're seeing it now, right? There seems to be a clear motif of fire and burning in this show, and to be honest, y'all, this is just the tip of the iceberg. You can see how long this video is. During the Gorman Massacre in season 2, Andor hears this on a radio transmission.
The Empire built this fire. They made this fire and led us to the slaughter.
And just before the massacre, Luthen and Andor have this exchange.
If it goes up in flames,
It will burn very brightly.
And when Luthen is giving his famous speech, there is a red and yellow light present behind him, blurred out in the background. Tom, come on, it's just lights, dude. Guys, let me explain something to you. Good filmmakers put everything in frame for a reason. Every color, every prop, every costume, everything that you see is there for a reason. Maybe not in movies like Fast and the Furious, but in artistic projects like Andor, you bet your nerf herder butt that this is the case. I mean, just think about the Eye of Aldhani. The writers could have used any other kind of distraction here. They could have had a stampede of horses running through the land as a distraction. They could have had a procession of local tribes where it was really loud and, they had thousands of people moving across the landscape. They could have had any other type of distraction here. Why choose a bunch of crystals burning up in the atmosphere as the main distraction here? Because maybe Tony Gilroy and company are smart, intellectual filmmakers who put everything inside their story for a double reason. To drive the story forward, yes, but to also reinforce the themes that are woven throughout the story. Remember how I said the Rebels in Andor wear lots of reds and yellows and oranges? Aren't these the colors of fire? These colors go in stark contrast to the whites and blacks of the Empire costumes and locales. And there's also a subtle cold blue color tone that is present in the lighting of many of these shots in Empire buildings. And also on their actual uniforms, there's lots of blue kind of accents and things that you can see. This is a contrast between the Empire and the Rebels that is present in both season 1 and 2 of Andor. I like viewing this color contrast through something Nemec says in his manifesto.
The Imperial need for control is so desperate because it is so unnatural.
Keyword unnatural here. When I look at this grandiose room the ISB heads meet in, where you can't see anything other than white, I can't help but think about how unnatural it really looks. If you pay attention, you'll see that the rebels are constantly shown in nature wearing colors that are naturally occurring in nature. Whether it's the tribe that Andor grows up with in the forests of Kenari, or the mountains of Aldhani, where the rebels plot their hit on the Empire, or where the local tribes walk miles to see the Eye of Aldhani, or Yavin 4, where the rebels live in the jungle next to ancient temples, or the jungle that Andor gets held hostage in for a few episodes in early season 2. And what does Luthen sell in his shop? Ancient artifacts from long-lost civilizations who lived alongside the land. Contrast that with the unnatural city planet of Coruscant, where the Empire holds their tight grip on the galaxy, and various locations of Empire control, like the underwater prison Andor finds himself in, or ISB headquarters, or even Preox Morlana. All of these Empire locations are either predominantly white or blue, colors that go in stark contrast to the warm oranges and reds of the rebels. It feels cold and frozen. Stormtroopers wear all white. ISB leaders wear all white. Director Krennic wears all white. In episode 1 of season 2, the Empire meets atop a snow-capped mountain. This cold versus warm tug of war runs throughout the whole show in the set design, costumes, and lighting. I mean, Ferrix as a planet is literally red. Cassian's droid is red. The wall of gloves on Ferrix are a mix of reds and yellows and oranges. The town is built with bricks, which you need to mix, mold, and burn in a furnace. And later, we find out that the dead on Ferrix become bricks themselves. They get cremated, read burned, and their ashes are then mixed with the mortar to make bricks. I mean, come on here. The fact that these hidden details even exist in Andor proves it's the best piece of Star Wars ever created. It's not that the original trilogy wasn't phenomenal. I love the original trilogy. It's just that we've never seen this level of deliberate artistry woven through a Star Wars project ever before. I mean, come on, do you think the team behind Ahsoka is thinking about how set design and costumes and lighting and recurring motifs can work together to express theme? No, they were just trying to figure out where to put the Hayden Christensen cameo. Remember how Andor's mother tells him he's just the first spark of the fire that is the rebellion in episode 12 of season 1? If you watch closely in episode 2 of season 1, there are a lot of sparks flying in frame on Ferrix. But one shot I love in particular is when Andor is walking through the streets of Ferrix, and visually he walks right through a spray of sparks. So we have his mother saying with dialogue that he is the first spark of the rebellion, and 10 episodes earlier, we have him walking through, visually, a spray of sparks on Ferrix. J.J. Abrams could never. One Andor set piece that I think clearly shows this motif as well are the jails on Narkina 5. It's literally all white, first of all, and they have a very interesting way of keeping inmates in line by shocking the heck out of them with electricity. One way they refer to the floors in this hellscape are either as hot or cold.
Tighten up! Hot floor! All the floors are cold.
And what are the colors they use to show that the floor is hot? And multiple times the characters talk about how the Empire killed entire levels in this jail complex in this way.
The doctor told us what happened down on 2.
It's true, isn't it? They fried the whole bridge.
They fried 100 men on level 2.
Fried. And if you look at the inmates' uniforms, what color shows up on their shoulder? The whole Narkina 5 arc for Andor is yet another opportunity for the filmmakers to reinforce these themes that they have woven into the story. But I haven't even talked about the granddaddy egg yet. You see, I was a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender growing up as a kid, and it's a show where people can bend the elements, like they can bend earth and fire and water and air and control it with their hands, basically. Let's focus on fire. In that show, there is a famous firebender named Azula who can not only wield fire, but lightning, which is referred to as the highest form of firebending in existence. Since then, for better or worse, I've always kind of associated fire with electricity. And it turns out, it actually makes sense scientifically. Both fire and lightning are forms of plasma, which is just ionized gas. Lightning is essentially electricity moving through the air, which creates plasma, a kind of superfire. So in a way, lightning is like a higher energy cousin of fire. Which brings me to the sun. Suns or stars are just big balls of plasma burning in space. And here's a fun fact that connects back to our natural versus unnatural theme. Plasma is the most common state of matter in the universe, making up 99% of observable matter. Not only that, but the extreme temperatures and pressure on the sun cause atoms to lose their electrons, creating this state of matter. Why am I bringing up the sun here? Because multiple times the sun is referenced in Andor. In Luthen's speech, he talks about how his mind is a sunless space, and that he's burning his life for a sunrise he'll never see. In episode 3 of season 1, there's a moment where Andor, as he's pulling up out of the atmosphere of Ferrix with Luthen, and sees the sun on the horizon, he remembers Marva pulling up into the atmosphere of Kenari when he was a boy, where he was met with the embrace of the warm sun as well. This was placed at such an emotional, crucial moment in Andor's story, and given my faith at how the filmmakers put everything into Andor for a reason, I think the same is true for this moment as well. The Empire is very much a darkness, or a dark cloud hanging over the entire galaxy, and the pressure they put on star systems inside of it create the very fire of rebellion. Like how the extreme pressure on the sun causes atoms to lose their electrons, creating this unstable state of matter, aka plasma. And it's interesting that they call the Empire's superweapon a Death Star, just an unnatural copy of something that occurs naturally in nature. A star is just a sun made of plasma, and it's interesting how it's this very weapon that plays such a vital role in the events of Andor and the downfall of the Empire in general. Like Nemik says in his manifesto, the Imperial need for control is so desperate because it is so unnatural. The Death Star is an unnatural copy of a star, which shoots devastating laser beams towards rebellious planets, thus sparking the rebellion even more. It's perfect writing. Which brings me to the last brick I want to place on the foundation of this theory that I've developed. Rhydonium. Rhydonium, or Rhydo for short, is referenced in Season 2 of Andor. It is a volatile starship fuel that is highly explosive and harmful to human health. Willman spends a good portion of Season 2 showing one of Saw Gerrera's men how to use a machine that can extract Rhydo from pipes. But it's dangerous because of how combustible the fuel actually is. Saw is a fascinating character in Star Wars lore. You never know what he's going to do, and he is a perfect representation of Rhydo and the rebellion in general. Here's what Saw says about Rhydonium.
Have you ever seen a man die from Rhydonium? Maybe you're like me. Maybe you love the smell of it. And maybe you breathe just a little too deeply. Burned from the inside.
One of my favorite scenes in Season 2 is when Saul gets Willman to take his mask off and breathe in Rhydonium for the first time.
We're the Rhydo, kid! We're the fuel! We're the thing that explodes when there's too much friction in the air. That's freedom calling! Let it in! Let it run! Let it run wild!
It reminds me of something Nemik said in his manifesto. Remember this, freedom is a pure idea. It occurs spontaneously and without instruction. I love the word spontaneously here, like spontaneous combustion. So what is Andor trying to say with this clear fire motif that is running throughout the entire show? For me, it's two things. One, like Luthen's speech, it's showing us the real price of being a revolutionary. Luthen says he's giving everything to the rebellion, his life, his ideals, and his very morality to a certain extent. At one point, Saul says,
You think I'm crazy? Yes, I am. Revolution is not for the sane.
When you burn something, all that gets left is ash. You are very likely, as a revolutionary, not going to see the sunrise that you work so hard to attain. You're burning your life in pursuit of freedom. Ironically, becoming a prisoner to the cause. But it does burn brightly, like Tony Gilroy and company tried to show with the Eye of Aldani event in season 1. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's colorful and volatile, and even predictable to a certain extent. They know that once every 3 years, the Eye of Aldani event is going to happen on a specific day. And that brings me to the second thing Andor is trying to say about revolution. And that is, it is natural for humans to fight back against authoritarianism. Like the sun, which, due to pressure, turns into a big ball of burning plasma in space. The pressure authoritarian regimes put on their subjects creates the very rebellion that overthrows them. It is only a matter of time before an overreach in power creates the environment necessary to have a revolution. It is not only just, but natural, because the idea of imperial control is so unnatural. Andor is obviously a meditation on revolution, the costs of revolution, the nature of revolution, and it uses these recurring themes of fire and burning and combustion to drive these points home in a way that can only be described as masterful. And that's why, for me, Andor is not only the best Star Wars ever made, it is probably the best Star Wars that ever will be made. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to get the written version of these videos before they go live here on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to my Substack publication, Filmalysis. The link is in the description. What did you think of Andor? What hidden themes did you see in the show? I would love for you to tell me in the comments section down below. I love talking about Andor. Thank you so much. See you next time.